Nothing moves me as much as love does. The possibility of love. The possibility to love. And to be loved. And to know it more. To lose love. To appreciate its presence more. To appreciate its stayingness. To merge. To become it. To be familiar with love. Seems to be like this constant force of desire that moves me forward more than anything else. And I'm not speaking of romantic love necessarily, but all of its forms, all the forms that it takes. Because who am I to say I don't know all of its forms? And to be closed, I'm not interested in being closed. Love itself, this feeling or this desire or this knowingness, or just if you've ever been in love in any way, I'm talking way beyond or even prior to the idea of romantic love, but that's included as well. You can agree with the fact or with this knowing that it creates this door in your mind, this open door, this door that is constantly open. It doesn't close. It's like I'm just seeing like a door that swings open and closed. You know, those doors that don't actually close, but they're like revolving. And you start to really see yourself so much more around you because you're interested in that. And I feel this just came, I was sitting outside like literally moments ago, and I just had to say this. I had to let these thoughts flow through. I was going to journal, but it just felt right to speak it. I actually wanted to follow up some threads as well from last week. But before I get into those threads and everything else there, I want to just share a little bit about what this conversation will be about. In the context of this love, in the context of practice. What it really comes down to, again and again and again, for me at least, is this returning to what you love, doing what you love, and letting that carry you, and like letting that love itself take care of everything else. You know, I really get this from Muji. Muji says this. He says, life takes care of life. And I've said things like this in the past. It just sometimes feels like I'm not in control of things that are happening. And that's not to feel like a victim. That just is like a recognition of the fact that there's no possible way I could be. It's not a victimhood mentality. It's a surrendering mentality. And so the power of this love and understanding that surrender, even without the word surrender, even without the understanding of the surrender itself, but just being open to this doing what you love. And that implies this listening to what it is that you love, this paying attention to the things that call you forth, that call your attention, that interest you from this place of fullness, from this place of wholeness, things that give you back energy, things that inspire you forward or inward. That's how you can, those are the tells, you could say, about like if it's love or not, or if it's truth for you or not. Because as, again, last week's conversation spoke to this idea or this, mindset of coming from a sense of lack and seeking from that sense, you're never going to find what you're looking for. But the simple switch of recognizing how much you already are in your true self, how much you already are in this love or in this empowerment. And it just switches everything around for you. And I've been really sitting, I've been really sitting, wanting to let new insights just strengthen, I guess, my own understanding and like the literal connections in my brain about these things that I'm talking about through my experiences and what I'm sharing. I know that there's definitely more to strengthen and my understanding. But that, again, comes back to this thing about it's not about me trying to strengthen that or needing to strengthen that. It's more of just this, there's no alternative. I've got to let those connections strengthen themselves. And I can't do that through my mind, through my own thinking. I can't will it to happen. I can't will understanding. I can't, you know what I mean? I'm just picturing someone sitting like super focused with like a furrowed brow and like trying to, make something happen with their mind. And it's so silly. And that's the opposite. It's this other place of, again, your interests and what you decide to do or what you choose to do or pay attention to. And you might think you're choosing it, but if you're in this place of love, really what's happening is you're surrendering to this deeper place, this deeper heart desire to, for example, sit and be available to yourself and letting those connections strengthen simply through that instead of, doing anything else. Like if you have the option to gossip or, go do something sort of repetitive or that doesn't really give you much back. Sure, you might get a temporary sense of satisfaction from something, whatever it is. I don't know. Think of just activities, and which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm specifically talking about those moments where you feel this call inward in the face of the world that you're in and experiencing, and there's all these options and alternatives, and you could say distractions constantly, and your like act of rebellion really to go inward. That's love. Doing what you love is gonna take care of the rest for you. Faith is another word for this sort of unstoppable love that will do it for you, right? That's how I feel about faith. I don't know, it's hard to use words to talk about that, but it just feels like enough. What else could you do? But to lean into it and then letting it just, and it fills in the perception of a gap or space in between you and the thing or whatever it is, you and the feeling, you and the understanding. And it will do it in a much more beautiful, harmonious, graceful way than you could ever plan to do or think to do. And so that's how we're going to kind of proceed if this interests you. And I'm going to share some examples, talk a little bit about a practice that could help us ground into that sense of surrender or openness or just reorienting back to love. So if that feels like something you're interested in and you are sticking around, thank you so much. Be sure to like and comment if you feel called to, subscribe if you feel called to. These things really help the algorithm like pick up the fact that you're here, and it does so much good for this community, this channel, and I really appreciate it, and I am so grateful for your presence here. And yes, so moving forward, let's talk a little bit about I feel like the order of things might be a little different than I'm planning, but of course that's just another manifestation of what we're trying to share here anyways. The day after last week's conversation came out, I felt like listening to it, the one I posted on the channel, which I don't normally listen to my videos after I share them, but I felt like, I don't know, I should listen. What happened was I listened to, I got to towards the end when I was sharing about my friend and how she took her life. The part where I say specifically, I say, I got a little choked up as I was sharing and I was like, sorry, oh, but that happened. For some reason, the part where I literally say the word happened, that happened, it got cut off. And I did not do that intentionally. And so I feel that for me, it was some sort of reflection of this maybe, unconscious or sense of denial about this fact that did happen, and that, it just made me a little uncomfortable because I feel like there was this unsettled energy, And so this leads me to the kind of reflection. I'm going to share with you a little bit about that reflection, because I think there's some topics in here that are not specific to me alone, not in the least. And they are collective wounds, I would say, collective hurts. And so this inquiry that happened after listening back and realizing this, I basically came to the question. It was like, why does that bother? Why am I uncomfortable? What's unsettled? What's unresolved? Again, led me to that sense of denial. Maybe I need to look at what did happen to resolve within me the fact that it did. Why did she end her life? I don't have those answers. I will never have those answers. But I do have my own experience of my relationship with her. And so a little background is like, we were friends. And when I moved from New York to Arizona, I was in high school, and she was one of my first friends when I moved to Arizona. In high school, we experienced, it was a normal high school experience. It wasn't too bad, you could say. But just to make this story very simple, I'm just going to go right to the point. There was a big group of girls and a big group of guys, and we were all in the same grade. Some maybe were older, some younger, but essentially there was this core group, and we were friends, and we did everything together throughout these 3 years. I moved there and I was a sophomore, so, but there were definitely some toxic, maybe even you could say karmic elements to these friendships that were not healthy all the time, and also definitely at that time were not addressed. They were not, addressed in any sort of resolution way or healthy way. Specifically, I'm just going to share one story, because I know not everybody cares to hear about all the details of some high school drama. But so one story that came to mind as I was inquiring, why would she do this? And what was she going through that I wasn't aware of or wasn't willing to look at? And although we had the same friends and we did mostly, all the same things with each other and with these friends, all of our experiences were different. And, one person's experience, whether a girl or guy, male or female, in the same event, in the same situation at the same time, is worlds apart. And that's something that, we can't figure that out. We can't know exactly what everyone's experiencing. So to share just one experience of an event, which we would always plan these events. All of us would plan football games, basketball games, school dances, holidays, birthdays, and everything was an opportunity to celebrate and have fun and make an event out of it. And it, it was a blast. We did have a lot of fun doing these things. But as I mentioned, there was these kind of underlying toxic elements to our dynamics it was mostly between the girls and the guys rather than the girls and the girls and the guys, which I'm sure, of course, there's always going to be some kind of stuff happening between, each other. But one event was a Halloween kind of event party we planned. And there was a huge group of us, and there was this huge group photo. It was a lot of fun. And this was junior year. And essentially what happened was the following week, there were these screenshots that somehow one of the girls got. I don't know how she did, but she got these screenshots from the guys' group chat with each other. And this group chat had the photo of all of us, where the guys, and mind you, it was 15 guys, but there was 30 of us together. So it was a lot of people. They were going through every girl in the photo and just not being nice, just being very unkind and mean and derogatory, and you could say like SLUT, shaming, and you could say bullying, like straight up bullying. So these screenshots went around to the girls and then to more people, and it just became this big thing, because, just for a moment, let's kind of relate this back to like why that's important to point out. When your friends do something that you weren't expecting that really hurts you, it's really painful and confusing because, you thought you were friends. You thought you could trust them. And now you don't know if you can trust them. And now everything kind of starts to get weird, and it affects the friendship and the way that you feel about yourself. And that distorts how you feel about yourself, and that distorts the relationship, and not just the relationship that it happened within, but I'm sure the relationships moving forward. Because now that you have this distorted idea about yourself, it's unclear. And so to go back to the thing that happened, looking through these texts, I remember specifically like sitting there with these girls, looking through the text that these guys said to each other about us. And mind you, again, some of them were in relationships with the guys, or some of them were, hooking up with them, how it goes. And to like see that, it was really weird. It was painful to just experience this, even secondhand, let alone, firsthand. I can't imagine. And so that was another moment in this kind of inquiry where I realized that one event really probably impacted all of these people deeply, or maybe not. I'll share my experience. So as we were looking through it, I also remember distinctly feeling like, okay, well, like, what did they say about me? Like, I wanted to know. We were all hyper focused on all of these other kind of comments and things said, and like, they were going into detail, and it was, yeah. But when it came to me, literally all that was said was, Mike is hot. And like, I know you're probably thinking like, cool, good for you. But no, that's not, yeah, sure, whatever, I get that. But I just felt stupid. I felt stupid. And to this day, sometimes that memory of like seeing those words pops into my mind. It's like there. And I'm aware that it's there, but it's almost like I don't touch it. And it's a feeling of, I feel stupid. I feel dumb. Because why? And this might not relate with everybody, and that's fine with me. I'm still going to share it because I'm not going to gaslight myself. That experience impacted me. And it's important that I acknowledge that for myself, and for the sheer fact that people like Tara who end up taking their lives might be impacted by these situations in ways that are deeply in conflict with their true self. Okay? So why did this bother me is because it's like feeling like, all this information is even though it wasn't positive, but there were like a lot going into the other. I know this sounds ridiculous, but it's something I've got to look at and be honest with. So whatever. It just made me feel like that's all they think of me. That's all they see in me. And there was this other part as well that was like, is that like backhanded? Am I hot? Like ridiculous to think about now where I feel like that's not even like relevant to my existence. Like, I would never take something like that at this point and feel something about it, because but at the same time, would I? Because it's still this thing that comes up. That's something for me to continue to look into and to resolve further as to like the moments when it comes up organically, because that just points to some unresolved energy, maybe like an idea about myself that like, something about your appearance, as a woman, I think where we've been historically, ancestrally oppressed, there's like this oppression and in roles as like mother or wife or daughter or friend or whatever you identify as, there's these expectations, and that goes for both genders and all kinds of people. But the oppression, it feels like, I don't know, sometimes it's just so automatic where I don't know exactly, but it's like you want to I don't know. I feel like I'm afraid to say it's like you want to comfort, you want to nurture, you want to be there, and you want to be there. And for some reason that can sometimes make you shrink yourself to your appearance. Because, I mean, it makes sense, because if you think about it, how you show up for others is in a way saying, like, if you're shrinking yourself to make other people comfortable from that place of, for example, that nurturing place, what's really going to nurture them? Is it you shrinking yourself, or is it you standing in your empowerment? And that kind of does reflect the appearance thing, or like how you look being some sort of determining factor of your value or of how comfortable you make people. Like, the thing about conventional beauty is like boring, but like sometimes I find myself afraid to express otherwise, or feeling as if I should because that's how it works or something. I don't know. It's complicated. And my point isn't to talk about myself, really. At this point, it's really to just speak to a little bit about what Tara might have experienced, which I can never know. But inquiring into my experience a little more deeply, a little more under the surface of things, it helps me to be able to see a little more deeply into what her experience might have felt like as well. It gives me a deeper compassion for myself. And therefore, that deeper compassion in me is more space and compassion for others, for her. And there is no, for her. And so, coming right back to it, right? This all happened in my inquiry. I'm just relaying the information that came through. As I was looking, I was like, okay, so, because at the same time as I'm inquiring and I'm feeling these and I'm looking at these emotions, there's this other part of me that's aware that that's still silly. I don't need to be afraid of how people perceive me. I can't change that anyways. And so it brought me back to her, and it brought me back to, if something so silly as a statement as, my mic is hot, it affected me this much to this day. Not like it, whatever, this much is relative, but it made me realize how much some of those other comments made that were more detailed and more unkind, and, it felt like betrayal, and it felt confusing, how much those kinds of comments from people you think are your friends, and then you continue to hang out with them, by the way, because like I said in the beginning, it wasn't resolved really in a healthy way. It was just ignored or pushed aside after a little bit of anger was expressed and some blow-ups, some arguing. And, to go on with this unresolved energy and in a more intensified way. Because think about it, if you deeply identify with those comments made, if someone makes rude comments or unkind or untrue comments about you that really deeply touches a insecure place in you, or, creates some sense of insecurity, like that can really change you. And I'm not saying that this experience alone was responsible for Tara's life. I'm not saying that, because it's not actually like those seeds are created, or, it's like events happen to mirror to us what needs to be looked at and what needs to be brought to the surface, brought to the light. That way they can heal. There's a possibility for love to heal what you see in yourself, what you feel, and what you experience. And they are doors. And I know not everybody wants to hear that. I wouldn't want to hear it when I was that age. Like, I couldn't hear it. But to this day now, I can hear it and I can say I'm grateful because of what it's giving me in this moment, which is more compassion, really, and a deeper appreciation for listening to others, to listening to myself. And even deeper, further, those boys are not bad people. I know this, and I know a lot of people feel this way too. We understand that hurt people hurt people. And so it just really speaks to that collective of boys or guys, whatever, feeling hurt or not strong enough in their own sense of self, not engage in that kind of behavior, because I don't think necessarily all of them really wanted to. There's a lot of pressure in groups like that when you're younger, especially, but also just in general. Like, it's definitely a collective societal theme to conform. Unless you're just strong enough to stand apart from it, stand outside of it, or stand independently, neutrally. And that's a strength that not everyone can just have or awaken to in those moments. But it is something that we can develop. Regardless, we can't change the past, but in this moment, it's really funny too, because it's like the universe is just amazing, because, like, again, coming back to doing what you love. The doing what you love, knowing what you love, is going to take care of the rest for you. It's going to clear the path for you. It's going to provide the answers for you. It's going to fill in the gaps of your understanding for you. What does it mean? It means, okay, example, again, I the only way I know how to share this is through the examples that I'm given in my experiences. Even my feeling to share about Tara in the last conversation, which I've never shared that here, and I didn't ever plan to necessarily, was surprising, and I just let it flow. But it makes sense, because what that sharing did for me was brought me into this deeper reflection. And that reflection is a direct mirror of something that also is occurring in my life at this very moment, which was this invitation to be a part of this retreat for, like, yoga, guiding some yoga sessions. And the retreat is for 16 to 19-year-olds. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Well, how does this fit for me? And then, but I'm in this place right now in my being where it's like, I'm like I said it again at the beginning, I'm not in control of the things that are happening. And since this thing came to me, I didn't seek it out. I couldn't have sought it out. I don't think my imagination wouldn't have led me there. Like, I have to trust it. And so I'm trusting it. The caveat of this experience, and I am grateful for it, and I am, excited to just do what I love. But one thing that I've felt a little uneasy about was, like, some of these sessions, guiding yoga, will be with young men, and I just feel like that's weird. I just feel like, how does that fit? I don't know if I'm like want to do that. It doesn't make sense to me. My brain just feels like no. But then this reflection is helping me a bit to understand that, like, perhaps this has nothing to do with my individual comfort. And perhaps this is something else about, like, a collective wound that I'm not necessarily saying they're wounded or anything. I don't know. But this wound in me that I'm carrying because of this not looking at what happened so many years ago. And it's not the one event, by the way. These things happened in smaller ways and more intense ways throughout high school and beyond. But, my life experience is not limited to that. And it's time for me to heal. That is what I'm saying. And this is an opportunity, I feel, to show up for the wound in a way, or I don't know. And how do I do that? Again, it's not about my individual projections or fears, which I am a little afraid, but I'm not, in the sense that, I don't know, the more that I just trust, it's like it takes care of it. Like I said, the love takes care of it. The trust takes care of it. And the gaps fill in by themselves. And so as long as I'm just doing what I love and letting that be enough, letting that carry me through the retreat, for example, and through other things in life that happen every day, letting that be enough, it does take care of the rest. For example, if I'm focused on doing what I love and I'm not focused on changing these boys or these girls or anyone, then I'm not projecting this feeling onto them like they need to change, or I'm not projecting my past wound about like what happened to me and that's why they need to change or what. No, it's not about that. It's about me being in this sense of this confident sense of love about I'm here showing up for the practice that healed me. I don't know what your wounds are, and whatever you are here for could be no wounds at all. So let's just do the thing that works in whatever way it needs to work. It will do it for you. I don't know if this is making sense, but that was like the thread that I really needed to clearly say and complete, because it feels like, I don't know, a part 2 from last week's conversation. Again, to draw this back into your experience, it's not for me to say what your experience is or to know what your experiences are, but I know that what I'm feeling and every time I go through something, I'm not alone, even if I'm physically alone. If it weren't for my connections, my relationships, and my experiences, there would be no way to, go through and heal and to understand and to let love fill in the gaps. So that right there in itself is proof that I'm not alone and that you're not alone as well. I also wanted to take a moment to speak about Tara. Tara was very beautiful, is very beautiful soul. Her very name means earth. She reminds me of that, of nature. I always see her in nature. She was so sensitive and empathetic when I think about it now. And she was an incredible being. Her heart was like big, and she was very good at listening. The thing about Tara was she wasn't, she was very fun and funny and honestly joyful and happy. Even if she didn't fully understand or relate to what you were saying or what you were going through, if you were, sharing something with her, the thing about her was like she could listen, and she could listen in a way to not to try to give you a solution, even not even try to give you advice or do anything. She could just listen and give you that sense of whatever it was that you really felt would be the thing that you needed at that time. Like she was there, and you could feel that presence of her there-ness, like it wasn't about her trying to be something for you besides listen, besides that ear, opening herself to you. And that is a gift that I wish I appreciated more when she was here, and I wish I could really give back to her. And I do wish she was here. But there's no wishing, because there's no past to change, and to bring it into the now and to ground it into the now is to appreciate the very thing that's happening right here and now, what she's giving me right now. Instead of feeling bad about that and making it about me and a story, I can say I can give that gift back in my life and people and relationships in this retreat that I'm going to do and all the other things that happen. Like, it gives so much when we take the moment, the time to really let that open door of love be there in your mind, letting that love carry you and letting that be enough, and not needing answers and not needing solutions all the time, and not worrying about how things are going to happen, because we don't know. How could you know? You just can never know. You can make all the plans you want and then like the unexpected is going to happen still. isn't that like good? Don't you love that? Because how boring. How boring would life be if we knew everything all the time? So, yes, that was my story. That was the threads. I hope it really connects to something that touches your heart and gives you anything to help you find that resolution inward. That is my only hope. And so to ground this into a practice, I feel we can do a little metta meditation. And so metta meditation is a loving kindness meditation. So you can go ahead and get ready for that. Get comfortable. And I'll just explain a little bit while you find your comfortable seats, your tall spine, and settling in. Loving kindness metta meditation is generating feelings of well-being, of peace, inner peace, and love. And sending this love to yourself, filling yourself with these good wishes, generating this kind of field of energy within you and around you, and then sending that out to the people in your life, your community, and to the world, to all beings. As you're sitting, you can close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, breathing in deep into the belly, breathing out. Breathing in. Out. One more on your own. And just feel comfortable. It's important to feel comfortable and relaxed. And as you breathe, you can bring your attention into your heart space, finding stillness in the body, and just breathe your heart, filling it with love, with light, and with air, with breath. And release. Breathing into the heart, filling it with this breath, expanding in all directions. Keep your attention right there in the center of your chest. And as I say these words, repeat them silently in your hearts or quietly to yourself. May I find the source of peace inside myself. May I find the source of happiness inside myself. May I find the sense of love, the feeling of love, the beingness of love inside myself. You may also like to say, may I be peaceful. May I be happy. And may I be love. May I be peaceful. once you feel this well-being, think of one person, one thing, one animal, something in your life that you feel already very loving towards. Bring that to mind. Whatever it is, everything counts. It can be a person very close to you. It could be an object. It can be your animal or like the sky. Bring it to mind. And now focus these thoughts, these wishes of love and well-being towards that. May you know the source of peace within you. May you find the source of happiness within you. May you know that source of love within you. May you be peaceful. May you be happy. And may you be love for yourself and for others in your life. And if there's anybody difficult to love or to give space to, if there's anyone you're in conflict with or feel hurt by, or perhaps that you have hurt, send them this loving energy too. And now we can take these feelings and expand them to all beings everywhere without exception. This includes you, yourself, and all of life. Sending all life, all consciousness, this love, this loving kindness. May all life be peaceful. May all life be happy and content. And may all life be love. Breathe into the heart space, expanding it as far as you can in every direction. Hold it at the top. And exhale, let go. Thank you for practicing. I am so grateful for your presence, for your energy that you give, that you share, and just for being here. Thank you so much. I'm I'm sending you so much love. Namaste.